So, what I'm about to share with you could save you 5+ years of vocal frustration. So, pay attention. This is critically important that you understand what I'm about to share with you. So, we all pretty much know that practice doesn't exactly equal perfection, right? I mean, perfection is pretty much, by definition, basically impossible. But we can all generally agree that practice makes improvement, right? Continual practice makes for continual improvement. Well, even that isn't always true. And that is why this video is so important for you to understand. Let me explain. So this was made very clear to me when I was recently reading the book Black Box Thinking by Matthew, I forget the name, Matthew Syed, Syed. I don't know if I said that correctly, but the book is basically about industries who, like the aviation industry, the healthcare industry, and how over the years the systems that have been in place and the systems that have been neglected across these different industries in terms of being able to learn from your mistakes and actually take the feedback and direct that towards improving so that you don't make that mistake again. And one of the examples in the book that made this so crystal clear was, imagine if you're trying to get better at golf. It stands to reason that if you try to get better at golf, just go out and practice every day, and you practice aiming the golf ball towards the hole, you're going to get better at it. But here's the catch. What if you only go out and practice golf when it's pitch black outside? Then what's happening? You're swinging, you're practicing, but you aren't making any improvement. See, this is why the idea, even this universally accepted idea that practice makes for improvement, even that isn't always true. And in those instances where it's not true, the reason you don't make improvements when you're learning a skill, if you're not actually making improvements, the reason most likely is that you are not getting feedback. Feedback, my friend, is the key word here. Because if you imagine the person playing golf, if you're trying to get better at golf every day, if you don't know where the target is, you're not going to get better at hitting the damn target. And just a couple more examples of this. So imagine if you're trying to get better at driving. So let's say you have never driven a car before and you want to build up the skills and you want to get better at driving a car. But what if in your practice time, let's say you adopt the rule of 10,000 hours. I'm going to practice 10,000 hours of driving a car. The problem is, if you put that car in the middle of the Sahara Desert and you put a blindfold over your eyes and you start driving and you do that for 10,000 hours, you are going to get basically nowhere. You are not going to learn how to drive. So this is not just a matter of putting in the work or putting in the hours and hustling to death. You need to be smart about it too. Hard work has its place, obviously, but you need to be able to have feedback so that you can take that feedback and use it in a constructive way to improve, in this specific case, your vocals. So if you imagine, if you were to practice for 2 hours a day, every day, on your vocals and on your singing abilities, but you were to do it in such a way that you never paid attention to what you were doing, you just maybe sang along to songs in the car, or you were invested in another project and that's where your focus is. If you're not truly being aware of what you sound like, how you sound like, when you sound different than another time, when you sound more nasal versus denasal, when you sound more heady versus chesty, like all of these different things. If you don't know, and you don't even have to think of it in terms of that terminology, but I'm saying if you don't have awareness of what you sound like, you're not going to grow because, again, you don't have feedback. You're not giving yourself any type of feedback. Feedback is what facilitates growth. It is what makes growth possible in the first place because it gives you a goal. It helps you to understand when you missed your goal and how far off you were. And it gives you an idea of how to perhaps bring it back closer to that aimed goal that you're trying to reach. And what is the particular type of feedback that I am asking you to do and that I'm recommending for you today? It's this: record yourself. That is how you get feedback. Now, obviously, you can get feedback other ways. You can get feedback from a vocal coach, let's say, which is a great way to get feedback. You can get feedback from your friends, which is a usually less reliable way. Definitely don't get feedback from your mom because it's always going to be like, yay, you're amazing. You're such a good singer, Don't get feedback from your mom. That's not going to be helpful. But feedback is so important, but you need to not just rely on other people's feedback because you are the person who spends every second of every day with yourself. So you need to be able to be your own coach and to be able to give yourself constructive feedback. And you do that by recording yourself. You do that by recording yourself. And this is going to, you'll feel resistant to do it. It's going to feel painful because who wants to hear themselves back singing? We don't even like to doing that talking. We don't like hearing ourselves back when we talk, much less sing, especially if we're not very confident yet in our vocal abilities. But I'm being very strong about this because I want you to push through that. You need to push through that because otherwise you might lose and you might go through the next 5+ years being bound by vocal frustration that could have been avoided if you had simply dealt with the short-term pain, pushed through it, and actually recorded yourself and became aware of how you sounded on one day versus the next day versus today, and then build your skills, really utilizing that feedback to facilitate the growth that you're trying to achieve with your voice. And this is, of course, what athletes do all the time. This is what athletes do. Take any sport, baseball, football, soccer, tennis, golf, anything. Take any sport you like. What do they all have in common? They all understand the value of recording yourself, watching yourself back so that you can get that feedback and then make the corrections, make the adjustments to your technique, to your swing, to your tone, to the way that you position the tone, to the way that you swing a baseball. All of these skills, it comes down to the same thing: feedback, 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 and then using that feedback in a constructive way that facilitates improvement. So now let's talk about how you can actually go about it. And I'm going to share a couple ideas with you that I think that I want you to ponder on and potentially move towards doing. The one is the most obvious one, and that is simply to create a schedule or create just a habit and a pattern of recording yourself all the time. So this could be as basic as just on your phone when you're practicing on, maybe you're a guitarist, singer-songwriter, and you play a lot just kind of on your bed, playing on your guitar, singing along. Record yourself while you're doing that. Make a habit of it. Try to do that every day, or basically every time you pick up your guitar and sing. Block out at least a couple minutes to record yourself. You can still enjoy it, and you don't have to record yourself for every minute of it and take the enjoyment out of it, but just keep tabs with yourself. Touch base with yourself. So that's the most obvious way that I definitely recommend you do. And then that obviously applies to recording yourself into a DAW and production and all of that too. That really helps as well, obviously. But then the other thing that you could do is create a posting schedule, a social media posting schedule of you doing. This doesn't even have to be original songs. This can be covers. So you could just post on Instagram maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, just some kind of schedule to put yourself out there, because it's amazing what happens on a psychological level when we know that other people are going to hear what we are putting out there or see what we are putting out there. As soon as we have that knowledge, our brain wakes up and we become more aware of what we're doing. And that is great for skill building. That enhances that sense of feedback that you are getting. So whatever you decide, however you decide to do it, find some type of schedule, find some type of routine that you can follow, that you can stick with, and that really, at the end of the day, you just need to record yourself a lot, because that is how you're going to be able to grow. So let me know in the comments below what it is that you're going to try to do. Maybe it's the Instagram posting every week. Maybe it's just actually digging up that courage to record yourself and overcome that short-term pain that you'll obviously feel, that we all feel when we first record ourselves. But once you can push past it, that is when you're going to see growth happen, because you'll be able to once you get over that initial sense of of deflation where you're like, oh my God, my voice sounds like garbage. Like how do I sound better? Once you get over that period, and if you push through it and you truly are passionate about vocals, you are going to be able to push through that. Once you do that, that is when you can start to grow and make exponential improvements with your voice and with your vocal takes and your recordings, which affects then everything else in the process, obviously. So don't forget to do this. Record yourself, my friend, because you need that feedback. And again, you need to, in a sense, become your own coach, because you are the person who is with you 24 hours a day. So you need to be able to make those adjustments on the fly without somebody else telling you to do them. So you can do this, my friend. You got it. Just don't forget to record yourself. Is so important. All right. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.